Barbie botox. Named after the toy's signature long neck, the procedure spread like wildfire on Instagram. A series of injections to the trapezius muscles in the neck renders them unable to contract, which lowers your shoulders and makes your neck look slightly longer. Despite the risk of muscle paralysis and severe pain, thousands of people rushed out to get this hot new treatment. But this is a very recent phenomenon. No one did this in the past, and that's when you realize that the Barbie Botox is just the tip of a massive iceberg. The plastic surgery industry has been booming for years off the back of Instagram and TikTok. Invasive procedures go in and out of fashion every month, as a young impressionable audience goes from one insecurity to another, fed to them by Instagram's algorithm. Meanwhile, celebrities and influencers work hand in hand with the industry, making promotional posts and boasting about
like this is kind of like a thing that a lot of people might not know about, but a lot of content creators actually get basically sponsorships with like plastic surgery places,
the procedures and the results. And now that plastic surgery is growing fastest among young adults looking to replicate the inhuman perfection they see on the app, it's time we really expose how Instagram is quite literally changing the face of the world. Biggest social media apps in the world. But it all goes down to the founders Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger. The pair originally met while studying at Stanford, and even before they had started their careers, they were being headhunted by the big names in tech. Kevin wanted to fully throw himself into a creative idea and exploit an opening in the market by building something of his own. Kevin knew his old college friend Mike was just as ambitious as he was, and so he thought he would explain his vision for a new app, something he would tell Forbes in an interview a few years later. Mike Krieger and I created Instagram because we wanted a way to communicate visually. We realized that we'd be taking all these photos with our iPhones that would sit on our camera roll, and it felt like they should be seen, not necessarily because they were good photos, but because a photo that no one sees isn't really that interesting.
Before we had Instagram, you really had like a photo bucket, like in a few other like random websites. But the problem is that there wasn't really a following feature. How many of you guys have an Instagram, but you've never posted a picture on Instagram? A lot of people, right? And so what do you use Instagram for? You use Instagram as like, it's like a Pokedex for girls. And so that's the way I use Instagram.
Kevin and Mike immediately got to work on Instagram, pouring everything they had into this new app.
Because Facebook was the only other platform you had. And like with a lot of these like people that you want to follow, like you want to follow some hot girl, like you don't want to see like her talking about like what she thinks about Obama. Like I just want to look at the pictures. And so like Instagram like filled the need that people didn't have then.
2 weeks, they had already secured $500,000 of funding from investors. It took the pair a year of work to get everything ready, but they still weren't prepared for what would happen next. And as soon as they launched the app, within just the first week, Instagram had gained over 100,000 users.
Another reason why is because Instagram didn't require you to put in all of your personal information. And by 2010, this is almost 2011, people had begun to distrust Facebook and were becoming worried about giving their personal information. Whereas like Instagram was just like you make an account, you post photos, and that's it. So like at the time, Instagram was like uniquely poised to be an incredible value for like a user.
Highest amount of users gained for any single social media app in history. The service for the app and the infrastructure wasn't enough to keep up with the massive influx of users. The new company that barely had anyone working for it had already far exceeded expectations. And so they would have to invest tons back in just to keep the app functional, with back-end tweets and more processing power. And so the first year was just a mad rush to keep up with the user base, with Kevin and Mike sacrificing everything in their lives to keep it afloat. But just when they thought they had gotten on top of the growth, there would be more crashes and more problems to deal with. But as time went on and they streamlined the process, their hard work was richly rewarded. In less than 2 months after its launch, the app already hit 1 million
Probably
users,
a chart for like homelessness.
Instagram was injected with $7 million of investor funding. But users just loved how you could make your photos look so much better than other apps like Facebook.
Yeah, they had like the built-in filters. In like 2012 and 2013, it was very common that people would like super filter their content and have like 2 or 3 filters on it or shit like that.
The introduction of various photo filters would prove revolutionary. With the touch of a button, users could iron out their wrinkles, cover up any blemishes, and transform their mundane experiences into picturesque moments. The same time that Kevin and Mike were building the photo app of the future, something else was going on. Other people were laying the groundwork for an entirely different way to push past the limits of natural beauty. Now, if you're going to blame anyone for the massive rise in plastic surgery, then you'd have to talk about people like the Kardashians. They were unique among celebrities at the time because they truly offered nothing except for their image and their lifestyle. Kim and her family's signature look exploded onto modern culture and still has an effect on beauty standards today. The modern world's obsession with full lips, big butts, and stenciled eyebrows is in large part thanks to them. Of there's all the cosmetic surgeries and procedures they've gone through to get there, then countless layers of makeup, professional photography, and Photoshop are added on. Even their own influence alone has a huge effect on the cosmetic surgery industry. When a 17-year-old Kylie Jenner boasted of getting lip fillers to achieve her signature look, online searches for the procedure went up by over 3,000%. Over time though, the procedures fades away and the results disappear.
I know a number of girls that have had some of this stuff done, and honestly, I would never do this shit. That's the reason why I didn't even want to get a hair transplant. Like, even that was a bit too much for me. But yeah, this shit is extremely common.
Every 4,000 people die as a result of the complications, which is what led to the UK banning it in 2018. Eventually, they reversed the decision in 2022 after bringing in new safety regulations, but there's still a whole world of unlicensed practitioners performing a different version of the procedure. The Kardashians might have remained in the background for most people, ending up as has-been stars like so many before them. But instead, their recipe for success based on their looks and their status alone was about to go global.
It's because they're hot. Like, that's the reason why.
That was all thanks to Instagram. But how did an innocent photo sharing website become a
lot of people think so.
Today?
Yeah, maybe you might not, but a lot of people do.
Zuckerberg. You see, Zuck's vision for a social media business was a lot different compared to Kevin Systrom or Mike Krieger.
Yeah.
While they were thinking about how to make money from people's photos, Mark was interested in commodifying the people instead. Even before Mark started Facebook, he had already demonstrated his true feelings towards its users. Facebook, a combination of aggressive data hoarding and addictive design practices, turned Facebook into one of the biggest companies in the planet almost overnight, but knew deep down that Facebook would be on the way out at the end of the decade, as he was failing to capture the next generation and was losing out to younger, more organic apps like Instagram. Meanwhile, things weren't amazing at Instagram either. Sure, growth was solid and the business was doing well, but after 2 years of grinding away, Kevin and Mike were sick of doing it alone. Now, they had built up a team by this point, but it was always an uphill struggle to keep up with the growth of the app. So after turning down a few other suitors, Kevin and Mike sold the company almost entirely to Mark Zuckerberg. Instagram had exploded in popularity. Within a year, they hit 50 million users, then 100 million a few months afterwards. But this all came at a cost, because it wasn't long before Mark came in to slowly force the founders out along with their original principles, allowing Facebook to make changes to the app and its business model forever. In 2014, Facebook pushed for changes to the data hoarding practices, making the app use Facebook's invasive tactics, letting them run 30-second adverts and buying products directly through the app. Compromising your personal information and data security with the new hand. In 2014, Instagram added a whole suite of different editing tools. The app went from a place to post filtered pictures of your real life into a showroom for the best looking photos of yourself that you could possibly create. By 2016, they made it so algorithms would decide what photos the app would show you. Instead of giving you a timeline of the photos that your friends had posted, Instagram would only show what it thought you would engage with the most, laying the groundwork for the addictive design that Facebook had already mastered. When Facebook began pushing for location tracking, it was the final straw for Kevin and Mike. They hated the direction the app was taking. The environment on Instagram was now constant in competition to get the most followers and the most likes on your photos, always having to look the best you possibly could for the algorithm, with the aid of Instagram's inbuilt Photoshop. Unlike the founders, Zuckerberg didn't care at all that the problems on the app would soon spill over into society. As long as it kept making him billions, it didn't matter. We've already discussed what the Kardashians and other celebrities would do to get the perfect picture. After the surgeries, camera angles, and airbrushing, the final image is barely recognizable as the person it depicts. Instagram puts this power into the
I've seen plenty of people that look real good in Instagram. In real life, they don't look like that.
With the high-powered camera in people's pockets, they could take what would have been a normal photo, add a filter and some Photoshop to it, and create a vision of perfection. All the little flaws and blemishes that make people human were ironed out. For decades, people worried about the negative effect on people's self-esteem and self-image that beauty magazines and Hollywood had. But Instagram took this to the next level by turning it into a global competition with millions of fans and billions of dollars on the line for the winners. So of course, it wasn't long before people realized to win this game, you had to go as far as possible For the Instagram algorithm to bless you, you had to do whatever it took. The more focused on your image you were, the more money and popularity you could get as an influencer. Going this way and focusing your whole life on your image is a terrible recipe for disaster. You would expect models, the people who are selected by society as the best looking people in the world, to have the least problems with critiquing their own appearance. But in fact, it's the opposite. Over 40% struggle with body dysmorphia and disordered eating. In the last few years, Instagram has globalized this toxic mindset. Some parts of Instagram culture, like using filters and photoshopping your selfies, entered the mainstream and affected the rest of the internet. It all had the effect of making everyone subconsciously disappointed with their own comparatively boring lives. All the perfection made people think that the natural imperfections that everyone else has was something to be ashamed of. Inevitably, influencers were made worse, most of them promoting harmless temporary fixes like their own cosmetic brands and makeup. The Kardashians would gain hundreds of millions of followers on Instagram and then promote their makeup lines, making billions in the process. But for some of these Instagram-fueled insecurities, there was only one way to really change it. Plastic surgery was the easiest and quickest option. Little do people realize it's an endless problem that you'll never be happy with. After one procedure is over, something else pops up that needs to be fixed. Beauty standards that Instagram was pushing didn't push people towards moderation. Instead, they made everyone else want to look the same. Perfect skin, luscious and full lips, sharp cheekbones, and long eyelashes. It's become what millions of young women around the world dream of having. Tons of singers and movie stars have slowly changed their image to match the Instagram templates. Ariana Grande is a good example. You can see the progression towards the Instagram singularity over time with this picture. Her eyes have gone stretched out, her nose has changed, and her lips have gotten fuller. She's also lost an unhealthy amount of weight, which is a huge problem when it isn't healthy. Obviously, people can look whatever way they want to look, but there's something really sad about all of these young people getting duped into thinking their natural beauty isn't good enough. Young people and even teenagers are much more susceptible to the coordinated attack on your self-image that Instagram delivers.
As of 2020, 18% of all cosmetic surgeries in the United States were performed on patients 13 to 19. I just cannot believe this. That's got to be like a medical reason or braces or something like that, dental thing.
People are getting Botox and other things done in order to prevent future wrinkles.
I knew there was one girl that, man, I remember whenever we would go out somewhere, she would want to use an umbrella, even whenever it wasn't raining, so the sun wouldn't get on her face.
If we want to look at where we might be in the future with the rise of cosmetic surgery, we only need to turn to South Korea. A third of Korean women aged 19 to 29 have undergone the knife, and the numbers just keep on rising, especially amongst young people. 60% of South Korean high school students want to get surgery in the future. It becomes almost rude to insult other people's eyes with your appearance if it doesn't match the cultural mold.
Oh, it's rude to be ugly? I like that. That sounds good.
Same thing that's happened in South Korea has also come to China as well. The industry is booming there now. The amount of people getting surgery increased by 600% between 2009 and 2018. This huge demand has led to a sharp spike in unlicensed and dangerous plastic surgery that's led to some truly horrifying results. And what you're seeing here right now is the work of a mysterious figure known online as Dr. Kim. He came to prominence on TikTok after these videos showing his patients' uncanny transformations went viral. They're clear examples of what can go horribly wrong with plastic surgery. The facelifts are so tight it looks completely unnatural, and people are paying a fortune for this. Pressures to look young and attractive are so high that people are led to these extremes and are willing to do anything to achieve that sense of perfection, even going to unlicensed butchers like Dr. Kim, as it appears that Dr. Kim is not one person but a pseudonym used by a shady unlicensed plastic surgery company called Shanghai Huzhong Medical Beauty Clinic. And from the evidence he gathered, they've been accused of using expired drugs, have been sued by multiple people and companies, and they've even trafficked counterfeited drugs to use in their practice. These pictures definitely aren't indicative of China's entire beauty industry. They do show where criminals can turn a profit from exploiting it. And it seems like the West is moving farther towards this point of cultural conformity with the help of Instagram. You should never expose yourself to the toxic sludge that Instagram promotes, as every time you go on the app, you're subtly, subconsciously becoming more and more insecure. Disconnecting from Instagram's twisted beauty standards means that you can actually truly appreciate people that the rest of the world might not even see.
I don't think that really the problem is Instagram. I think that it's mental health. I think people don't have any tools or resources to manage their mental health. By the way, this is a great video. I'm going to link you guys the video. Make sure to give the guys up. Instagram enables it. It does. It does. I think that people, like, if you feel like Instagram is fucking with your life, you should 100% stop using it. It's like, hey, my head hurts whenever I hit myself in the face. Well, stop hitting yourself in the fucking face. How about that? The moment that people realize that the problem that they have is internal and it's not because of Instagram, then they can actually solve it. But everybody wants to externalize their problems, and they want to look for another reason that it's somebody else's fault. Social media is an accelerant for mental health issues. It is. It absolutely is an accelerant for mental health issues. 100%.